We were interested in looking at the effect of the global financial crisis on the latest trends in global inequality. Our research looks at the recent trends in relative and absolute inequality.
Relative global inequality has gone down, in particular because of the rise in China and India, but the absolute inequality has gone up by a very large margin. Take two people in Vietnam in 1986. One person had an income of $1 a day. The other person had $10 a day. With the kind of growth that Vietnam has seen, the person with $1 and after 30 years would have $8. If we take the person who had $10 a day and after 30 years would have $80. So if you're focused on absolute differences, inequality has gone up. If you're focused on relative inequality, inequality between these two people has remained the same.
This trend is not uniform. We see that certain regions like North America, Europe, South Asia, and Sub-Saharan Africa experience an increase in relative and absolute inequality. Other regions like Latin America observe an increase in absolute inequality, whereas a reduction in relative inequality.
This difference between relative and absolute should not detract attention from the fact that the present level of inequality is far beyond what any economic argument can justify. And that's why we at Wider are concerned about inequality research. That's why we try to bring facts to the table such that policies can be formulated and implemented with a view to reducing the existing inequality. One has to be very careful in putting forward a one-size-fits-all approach. It's clear that in developed countries such as the US, it's incredibly important to focus on what happens to capital gains, because they play a big role in the rising inequality that we're seeing in the US. That may be of much less importance in other countries where the driver for the inequality is not gains in capital wealth, but could be, for example, increases in the wage dispersion between those who have a job and those who don't. So you need to focus your policy to the particular circumstances of the country and the underlying drivers of inequality in that country. If you don't do that, then you're going to get your policy focus wrong. Inequality is and should remain a key policy focus in world development. By the standards that we normally use, there are still hundreds of millions of people who are extremely poor, who live under conditions that are absolutely unacceptable for a world community that has agreed to the Sustainable Development Goals.